Please keep it down. I'm calling the October 12th, 2023 Barefoot Bay Board of Trustees regular meeting to order. I can't up here. You can't hear it in the back? Well, let me see if I'll get it a little closer here. All right, I'm calling the Board of Trustees regular meeting to order. Welcome all. Please silence all devices and try to keep it quiet. It's a lot of people out here, and any noise is going to mess with the microphones. So please keep it quiet. You can follow along with the agenda printout available at the table, by the doorway, or by looking at the screen behind me. Item 1, we will start our meeting with a moment of silence for one of our previous chairpersons, Wilma Waglin, who passed away September 19th, and also the victims in the Israel and Gaza conflict. Okay, continue with the thought for today. Value those people who tell you the truth and not just those people who tell you what you want to hear. That's by Patricia Summit, America's Women's College Basketball Head Coach. Item 2, Pledge of Allegiance. Mrs. Hanson, it's your turn this week. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, item 3, roll call. Mr. Grunow?
Mr. Brinker. Here. Mr. Grunow here. Mrs. Hanson. Mr. Klosky. Chairman Amos.
Here.
Let the record show that we have Kent Shishone, our community manager, Stephanie Brown, our district clerk, and Garrett Olson, our district counsel. In the audience, I see Charles Henley from Financial Management, Kathy Mendez from Food and Beverage, and I see Matt Getz from Property Services, and Jason from SDS Services. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Grunow. Item 4, are there any deletions or additions to the agenda?
I would just like to compliment Stephanie on encapsulating that very long discussion that we had last meeting, and I thought it was well done.
Okay, hearing none, and we'll continue on. I need a motion to accept the agenda. Joe, motions to accept. HB, seconds. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Excuse me, motion passes. Item 6, we have none, no presentations or proclamations. Item 7, approval of the minutes. Okay. Approval of minutes. We have the minutes from the regular BOT meeting dated September 26, 2023. Are there any corrections or additions? No one. Hearing none, the minutes stand approved. Mr. Brinker, item 8. Are there any corrections or additions to the printed treasurer's report? Submit as written. The treasurer's report stands approved as written. Brings us to item 9. This apparently will be a long item today, so please keep it quiet out there so we can proceed. Anyone who wishes to speak can speak for 3 minutes or less. If it is about an agenda item, state the item before beginning. Please do not try to start a debate with the board or the staff or anyone else in attendance. This is just you stating your opinions. If you have a question, please address it to me and I will try to answer it, or I can ask other trustees to answer it if it can be answered. Questions and answers do not extend your 3 minutes. So let's start, and I have this hopefully in order I receive them. We'll start with Lynn Tuminello. And please push the button to turn the green light on and give us your name and address.
Okay, here we go. My name is Lynn Tamalo. I live at 930 Cypress Street, Barefoot Bay. First of all, I'd like to thank you for listening to some of my concerns I have today. I have heard some awful rumors about trying to get rid of our community manager, Kent Shoshone, and our food and beverage manager, Kathy Mendez, with promises of promoting other personnel to replace them. These rumors are causing major issues within this community. I, as a past trustee of Barefoot Bay and a 40-year resident and homeowner here in Barefoot Bay, have seen a lot of things happen, and many of them have been unfair. Gossip and untruths are vicious and hurtful, and there's no place for it here in Barefoot Bay, coming from board members, department managers, supervisors, or employees. I thoroughly enjoyed my time on the board and working with Mr. Shoshone. I came to know him and respect him as a leader and a valuable asset to this community. As an employee of this district for many years, I have worked closely with Kathy Mendez, food and beverage manager, who spends countless hours planning and overseeing all of our special events, along with the day-to-day operations and activities. Kathy is not only in her office daily, you will find her here on this property late evenings and weekends. Both of these people are honest, dependable, and incredibly hardworking with extremely impressive results. I give you 3 examples. The swift and successful under-budget completion of the Cabana Bay project, the earlier than anticipated completion of Pool 1 improvement project, FY24 budget, which has been streamlined into a much easier to read document. Ladies and gentlemen, I would say this is not bad for Mr. Shoshone's first year. I have witnessed our community manager at several community events, and always with a smile on his face and always willing to stop and speak with any resident and answer any question, even though it's his own personal time. The Bay has always been his first, and I will say the same for Kathy Mendez. Along with Mr. Shoshone's knowledge, expert of special districts, budgets, he's a team player and always a member to foster positive discussions and bring out the best in every situation. He is not a man of gossip. He is a truthful man. Kathy Mendez has proven herself over the past 15 years as a true and loyal leader to her staff and community. Kathy's vision for food and beverage has brought it from cold sandwiches and hot dogs at the 19th to where it is a full kitchen at the 19th, a brand new commercial kitchen in A building, a food truck at Pool 1, and constant seasonal entertainment and even successful special events in the off-season. I have recently seen BOT members huddle into conversation with some management and staff, employees, and hush-hush when you know that you've been seen, and you know who you are. The job of the BOT is to manage our money, and the board works directly with the community manager, not micromanage the different departments of the Bay. Without a doubt, I know we have the best community manager in Kent Shoshone and Kathy Mendez with food and beverage leaders. They are both of truth, dedication to this community, and all around great people. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lynn. We have Rich Schwadlow.
Rich Swatlow, 636 Marlin Circle. We all heard the old saying, it is on. Oh, sorry. 636 Marlin Circle. We have all heard the old saying, measure twice and cut once. What this means is to make sure you have all the information before making a decision. Bad decisions can be costly, and our community is operated on a budget that cannot afford unnecessary expense. So let me share with you a few examples based on my research. Several years ago, the board spent $9,000 on architectural renderings on converting the 19th hole into an entertainment facility. After many months passed, we were told that there was a right-of-way issue and they would not be allowed for the project to continue. Inadequate due diligence caused the waste of $9,000. When meetings were used to discuss the rebuilding of the lounge, I suggested, based on other problems with projects, there may be a concern with needed parking and the water and sewer connections. I asked the board to hold off and measure again. I was thanked, and the board voted to spend $90,000 on the plans. The end result was finding out the project could not move forward because of parking lot and sewer issues. Inadequate due diligence cost a waste of $90,000. At the meeting when the project of constructing a bathroom at Bedford Bay was held, a resident made a detailed presentation of what would be needed to be done to get this project accomplished. The board said thank you and then authorized the purchase of the bathroom. The bathroom building has sat at the manufacturer for multiple years because inadequate due diligence was performed by the Bay regarding permits. The results in the bathroom at this time are still going on. During discussions regarding the purchase of the food truck for Pool 1, it was noted that at the time, the truck could be moved to different areas as needed for special events. This was one of the justifications for the purchase. Now the food truck is hard connected with water, gas, and sewer, and will never be moved or used elsewhere. My purpose in raising this issue today is to urge the board to listen to residents' questions and ideas and deliberate their decisions. Also to measure twice before cutting and performing and to perform adequate due the job. We cannot afford costly mistakes for a budget that has no room for added expense. Secondly, I want to acknowledge our manager and staff on how they take part in the Bay. Most of them are not just 8 to 4 workers and then leave. Some are residents, some others, and many others take part in Bay activities. The staff built the mini golf course. And after work hours, our manager held a meeting and greet with the residents. He was at the candidates forum and has gone to several Thursday night events on his own time. Our manager and staff are part of the Bay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swetlow. Looks like Ed Hanslem.
Ed Haslam, 909 Laurel Circle. I've been having conversations with Kent over the last 3 weeks. He's being railroaded. I don't know if most people here realize it. I've been also talking with Randy Loveland. Kent came in and he noticed the unprofessionalism in the front office and is doing something about it. One such employee and another has been running around behind the scenes coming up with this bogus 7-page thing to try to hang Kent with. Who's running the Bay? The trustees or the managers running behind the scenes trying to set this up? You people run on integrity. Let's see it here today. Support Kent. He's doing his job and he's doing it well.
Thank you, sir. Next up, David Wheaton.
Hello. Dave Wheaton, 1477 Barefoot Circle. Is it loud?
Speak into the mic quickly.
There we go. It's tough times. We need a tough leader. If we look at the golf course right now and how great it's coming along, decisions were made, and my only thing is they were probably made 5 years too late. It's tough times, and we need a tough leader. Broach no dissension amongst the staff. Barefoot Bay has to have a direction, and it has to have a tough leader. In this economy, there has to be hard decisions to be made. I think Mr. Shoshone is the one that can do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Got these mixed up a little bit, I'm sorry. Next up is, I think, Kevin Hunter.
Hi, I'm Kevin Hunter. I live at 373 Marlin Circle. And the agenda item that really concerns me seems to be one that concerns everybody is the new business item, community manager evaluation direction to staff. I've never seen something like this on the agendas here in the Bay. You know, when the golf course was an issue, I never saw golf course superintendent evaluation direction to golf maintenance staff. Or do I suspect we'll ever see general counsel evaluation direction to legal support team? I hope I'm mistaken, but at best, this looks like an overreach by our Board of Trustees, and at worst, it looks like a litigation nightmare. When there were maintenance issues at the golf course, our BOT followed appropriate procedures and secured another company to lead the way, and now conditions have improved. I salute you for that. When we needed a new general counsel, the Board of Trustees, after a couple of interviews, came to their senses and again utilized the services of Voss Law Firm, and through their firm secured the services of Garrett Olson. Again, nice job. And when John Coffey moved on, the Board of Trustees counted on the services of SDS Management to provide us with another competent community manager, and they did, Kent Shoshone. So again, well done, Board of Trustees. And I know Kent's doing a good job because I hear it from the homeowners, I hear it from club members, and I read it in the minutes of the meetings. He hasn't been here that long, and yet at 3 different meetings, the Board of Trustees, a particular member, a different member each time, has highlighted the excellence work that he has done. I encourage you to stick to the evaluation processes that are in place through the companies that you use to secure these leadership positions and not create a new animal that will only create a hardship on you as trustees. Chairman Amos said it best at the April 25th, 2023 meeting, and I know some of you may not have gotten the memo from Mr. Amos, but he advised at that meeting that the job of the Board of Trustees is to take care of the money and set rules and manuals and set fees for the facilities. He further advised that trustees do not run BBRD. That job is left to the community manager and staff. And our community manager is doing a great job, and I'm anxious to find out why you have such an item on the agenda under new business. And I guess we'll find out soon.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Klein, Chris Klein, can you come up? Chris Klein.
I am Chris Klein at 556 Dolphin Circle. We've had a problem with this board well before Kent got here. I'm not afraid to call out names. HB, you're a problem. When you say that you're not going to fix ADA because it's too expensive, you're a problem. You're not in charge of the Bay.
Okay.
And when you walk around
We can't be trashing the people on the board here at the meeting, okay?
One of the, and for everyone else coming up too, one of the things, you know, this time's designated for you all to talk to the board. It's public comment is your time to address the board as a whole. Calling out individual trustees, we're not going to tolerate that. So let's just direct comments to the board generally. Thank you.
So there's 2 other board members that are a problem. And and to administration staff for sure. And it's time to revamp the board, and it's time to get rid of the problems in the administration. We've had these problems for long before Kent got here. Kent's trying to push your guys' hand to do the right thing, and you don't like it. The 2 board members that need to go, or 3 board members and 2 administrations. And when we have trustees that run around and say rhetoric about residents, it needs to stop. And I'm looking right at him.
Thank you, Ms. Klein. Next, we have Charles Henley. Three minutes, Charles.
Yes, thank you. So it's out of a sense of duty and honor that I come forward today based upon the rumors that we hear. So speaking as an employee, and I believe for the majority of BBRD employees, I would like to speak in support of Mr. Shoshone. Kent has demonstrated that he is competent, fair, acts for the betterment of the community, and truly cares about all 10,000 plus owners and residents of the Bay. Kent has managed to bring in early and under budget projects such as the lounge outside bar and the Pool 1 relocation and renovation project, as well as guide the day-to-day operations for this for his first complete fiscal year to a significant savings under budget. Kent has never asked me to do anything illegal, immoral, unethical, or beyond my capabilities. Unfortunately, Kent has been under assault since before he started as BBRD community manager. A couple of my fellow managers have been conspiring to undermine him since the beginning. I know because they tried to recruit me. In fact, this whole madness is a result of a premeditated act by those conspirators to fill the ears of the BOT with misinformation, disinformation, and outright lies. Only in hindsight is the extent of these actions becoming clear to me. I understand why now the HR manager refused to participate in the budgeting process involving employees' pay raises. He wanted the opportunity to mislead the BOT into believing that Kent didn't follow the plan BBRD paid for just last year. I witnessed many occasions when he did so to 2 different BOT members. He did this while also acknowledging to Kent and me that it would be unsustainable for BBRD to nearly double staff wages in a 5-year period. He redoubled his efforts recently trying to convince the BOT that Kent was shortchanging staff when all along he knew that we had budgeted about 8% for employee raises, about the same as the increase in the annual assessment. He also knew that this significantly exceeded the percentage Brevard County was setting aside for employee raises. Apparently, it is also the impression of at least one BOT member that Kent is soft on safety. There could be nothing further from the truth. No safety protocols have been loosened since the departure of John Coffey as community manager. In fact, safety was a major topic at every manager's meeting, and all concerns raised by any manager were addressed immediately. Kent took an active role in reducing the risk of flying umbrellas at the pools, and he directed the roping off of Pool 1 and the lounge deck during the relocation and rejuvenation projects. What has changed is the representation presented to the insurance company. Kent has done his best to protect staff while receiving nearly constant pressure from at least one BOT member who has made it his mission to get rid of 2 specific managers. Kent has provided valuable guidance to me as a manager in a professional and respectful way, and I can only assume that he has done so with the rest of my managers. Unfortunately, at least one of our managers was not of a mindset that would allow him to receive such guidance, and we have lost a valuable member of our team. In summary, I would argue that any vote to terminate Kent Shoshone as BBRD community manager is a vote to return to the days of a revolving door for community managers and the tyrannical rule of a power-crazed staff member. Thank
you.
you for your time.
Thank you, Charles. All right. Okay, let's move on now. Kathy Mendes. Kathy Mendes.
Kathy Mendes, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Kathy Mendes, Food and Beverage Manager. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. And I just want to mention that Charles Henley nor I would ever speak so boldly or directly if we didn't think it was necessary, and we hope to never have to do it again. My comments are regarding the rumors to terminate Kent Shoshone as community manager. I believe all board members, current and past, work in the best interest of this community. My experience working with Kent is that he is patient, smart, conscientious, detail-oriented, fiscally responsible, and focused on completing projects on time and on budget. While he maintains another residence, he moved into this community and has immersed himself in the culture and activities in Barefoot Bay. He engages with residents and welcomes their input. He started approximately 1 year and 4 months ago. The plan to remove him was hatched then. 2 managers decided to implement a plan of deceit, lies, disrespect, disobedience, and betrayal. They manipulated and brainwashed staff and the BOT. They have spent more time planning and scheming than working. But that was the idea, wasn't it? Don't do the required work and feign confusion about the work, or make up a story that Kent was violating a procedure, yelling or denying he gave a direction. We were onto them from the beginning, but had no idea what appeared to be big egos and bad attitudes would turn into such a sordid and disturbing escalation of dissension within administration, the Board of Trustees, and the community. This has turned into a plan of negotiations with 1 trustee and 2 managers to oust the community manager, the finance manager, and me, the F&B manager. I have been the food and beverage manager here for 15 years because I love the work and I love this community. My father was a Marine, so maybe I was raised with a different code of conduct than my co-managers, but I believe in a good day's work, loyalty to the organization you work for, honesty, cooperation, and teamwork. That is what makes us successful, and Kent Shoshone demonstrates these attributes. As the district clerk said to me the other day, I know you are blindly following, but this isn't going away. Well, I think it should. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, settle down, please. Next up, Frank the Baker.
Can I have 23 minutes? Hi, I'm Frank the Baker. I live on Dolphin Circle here in Barefoot Bay. And I do love Barefoot Bay. I've served as a trustee, I've worked here, and obviously I live here. My son is a tenant here, so I'm very involved and well invested in Barefoot Bay. I have worked side by side with most of the managers in the Bay as a trustee. As an employee, I had to deal with some of the ridiculous decisions and direction that was given to us by the then BOT. When I got onto the board, the first thing that I worked with my fellow trustees is to stop the micromanaging, to let the managers manage. Previous BOTs have hired a consultant to figure out all the problems that was facing the Bay back in 2004, which was only 8 years after we went into existence as a district. That's how messed up we were. We had no money in the bank. We had no control over the money. And one of the first things they did was bring in SDS, which put together a deal with the county to collect our fee money as part of our taxes to put us on a solid financial footing. Now, I've talked to most of you trustees. There's only one here that I don't know personally, because I try to stay out of the forefront and let you guys do your jobs. But you're going back to the micromanaging days. We have laid out a plan for a reason. There's checks and balances. You let in that original assessment done by our consultant, the first thing he mentioned in there was you need a strong community manager to lead this thing. The second thing mentioned in bold letters was get the trustees out of the daily management business. Kent, I obviously do not know Kent as well as I knew John, but in the few dealings I've had with him, he seems very professional, seems to know what he's doing. I haven't heard any of his managers badmouth him. Of course, I don't hang around the office like I used to. But you got to let the man do his job. He's been here for 1 year. You have to assemble his team. They've got to buy in that he's different than what John was. We've seen managers come, we've seen them go. If this continues on the way it is right now, and I only found out about it because my wife was reading Facebook. I don't follow it, but thank God she did read to me this stuff. If this stuff hits the public, you will never, ever retain good managers again. Why would anybody want to come here as part of a management team to be micromanaged to death and told they're not doing a good job? In all the trustees that I've known over the years, myself including, none of us is experienced in community managing. None of us is experienced in running a property service department. Probably I have a little experience in food and beverage, but not as a management team in that big of an environment. There's been a headhunt for Kathy since the day I moved into Barefoot Bay in 2012. And it's always about the department loses money. Has a BOT ever thought to do two things? One, identify what an amenity is, and if it's an income-producing amenity. Has any BOT implemented policies to dictate how she has to price product? When you put a budget together and you put a 2.5% increase in your selling prices, and we go through a year like we just went through where you see food costs go up 30%, labor costs go up 30%, how the hell are you going to make money at 2.5%? If you tie the manager's hands, how can she do her job?
Thank you, Frank. I'm afraid you're out of time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next up, Rob Allen.
Hi, my name is Rob Allen. My name is Rob Allen. For those of you that don't recognize me, I own the Tatler. I also was a trustee on this board. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here at all. I want these meetings to run without me having to be here. I want them to run without you having to be here. But unfortunately, it seems like a redux of 2008, where somebody wants to be the manager maybe, wants to get rid of the manager, and then we can put in an interim manager. Anybody remember how Grace worked out for everybody? Trust me, those of you that are brand new, it was a nightmare. I wonder why we still have trustees violating the Sunshine Law. Do you not understand it's against the law? Do you not understand that it comes with a $500 fine if you're found guilty? Do you not understand that if you're found guilty and it was a purposeful meeting, you can spend 60 days in jail? So let me point out that I own a newspaper, and I have nothing for the front page. Nothing for the front page. So if anybody happens to know facts, who's not anonymous, that would like to talk to Rob Allen, feel free to step forward. Because I have no problems printing the story. And for those of you that continue to ignore the fact that it is not your responsibility to make pay raises for employees, it is not your responsibility to demand that managers give everybody a certain percentage. It's not. You okay the budget, you leave it up to managers who know their employees. And if you have such a relationship with individual employees or individual managers, such that you know what they're getting paid, such that you know their complaints, my suggestion is you get your crap together. You do not have any right to discuss with individual managers their problems. That's not your problem. Those managers meet more than once a week, I'm sure, with the manager. They need to take those complaints direct to the manager. That's how complaints are handled. If a manager were to come to you and say, I've got a complaint, it's your job to say, take it to the manager. If they continue to come to you with complaints and you listen, or worse, you collude with other trustees, then not only should that employee be fired, you should resign. And I mean it.
Thank you, Mr. Allen.
I mean it.
Your time's up. Thank you. Next up, Debbie Oldakowski.
Can everybody hear me? No. Push.
Make sure the green light is lit.
It's on. Can
Okay,
you hear me now?
now we can hear you.
Okay, good. Verizon can't, but you can. That's good. I had just come over. I have no idea how deep this problem was. Okay, I had heard about part of it yesterday. Got some of them through Facebook, which to me is 99% crap. But I had no idea how bad it was. I came here just because I've worked with Kent, and as a realtor as well as a homeowner, he's always been pleasant. I've seen him in activities. He's always been very professional, and he's always answered my question, which sometimes John would not. Okay, so when I heard this morning there was a chance of discussing this, granted, everyone needs an evaluation perhaps, but I thought the last meeting that you folks had was awful. I thought there was way too much micromanaging, and you know what? The funny part about it is I don't usually say a whole lot of this, but boy, you've heard the whole group here, and everything they've said, I guess I'd believe, and I'd go along with. But that's all. I just think Kent is perfect for the office. He's only been here for about a year, and maybe the people who are in the background doing all this whispering that apparently is happening, maybe we ought to stop listening to them.
Thank you, Debbie. And last but not least on the audio here is Don Oldakowski.
Don Oldakowski, Navajo. I want to let you know I'm in full support of Ken Shoshone. I believe he's doing a good job, and you should not be listening to a few disgruntled employees. You will find that those that make the most noise usually are the ones who are not doing their job. You've hired him to run the Bay, so please do not micromanage him. I think you've heard this over and over again today. He has rid us of 2 toxic employees, and he may or may not remove others to get our house in order. But I believe he is the right man for the job, and we should keep him. And that's all I have to say today. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. At this time, I'll ask anyone else has something. That lady over there.
Hi, my name is Joanne Ploss. I live on Barefoot Circle. I've lived in the Bay for over 20 years. I come to a lot of these meetings. I was stunned last week when I heard that a manager in the district threatens employees by specifically saying that he has 3 trustees wrapped around his finger to do his bidding, which includes getting rid of Kent. I think maybe what we should do right here is stop, and maybe we should recommend getting rid of the 3 trustees. The 3 trustees who this man claims and threaten that he has you wrapped around his finger to do his bidding. I don't want you representing me.
Thank you, Joanne. Anyone else? One in the back? Oh, there you go. You first.
Just because I'm so short.
Yes. Speak into the mic, real
I'm
close.
Nancy Isley. I live on Barefoot Boulevard, and I want to tell you that I have been physically in Barefoot Bay for 50 years. I've lived here for 37. I came to visit my parents every year before that. And the fact is, I don't want to live anywhere else. I love Barefoot Bay. I appreciate, first of all, the time and effort that's been put in by so many different citizens who have served on the board, who have been our managers, who have been our leadership. And I just think it's such a shame to have this meeting today with so many people here. It just shocked me when I walked in and saw so many people. I wish you all would come to all the meetings, as I have. I attend as many meetings as I have from the very beginning. And I've watched Barefoot Bay grow, and I've watched Barefoot Bay blossom. And I just, again, thank you all for all the work you do. I especially think that our managers are just hard workers. They really care. I watch people working around Barefoot Bay, and I'm so grateful and so thankful for all the things that are done here. I hope this can all be resolved and we can move on. I don't want to go back to things we had in the past and different things. And Ken, I would just say, hang in there. You're not the first. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Nancy. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Robert Blackburn. I live on Rin Circle. It seems to me, from everything that I'm hearing and finding out about what's going on with Kent, that if the Board of Trustees has any integrity at all, along with the 2 so-called people involved in it that are managers, they ought to have the decency to stand up and resign their position, because you are not representing truthfully or faithfully to the people of Barefoot Bay. I've only been here 2.5 years, and I know the stuff goes on. I can give you a perfect example. My house that I bought, thinking I was living the Florida dream, had a front porch put on it in 2015. I came to the meeting after I moved here to screen in the rest of my quote-unquote carport, which technically isn't a carport. You can have 18 by 11. It doesn't stipulate which way the 18 or the 11 have to be. So if it's 11 deep, 18 wide, it's not a carport. Any way it flips, it's not a carport. If it's 18 deep and 11 wide, it's a carport. But when I came to the meeting and wanted to get that done, the Board of Trustees told me then that my build was an illegal build and should have never been wrote off on. Now, I said, well, and this is exactly what I said. I said, well, who gave somebody a bottle of whiskey to get this signed off? The HR guy went off on me like I was nobody's business. I said, wait a minute. I'm just saying. You're saying it was illegal to start with, and what I want to do, I can't do, so I'm paying the price because the board members decided, quote unquote, their friend was okay to have theirs, which it's all in the past now. I don't even fight with it anymore. But my point is, how corrupt does the Board of Trustees have to be before we say enough is enough, and then they have the integrity to stand up and say, hey, I don't want to be part of this. I'm not doing it any. So here's my resignation. I wish the 3 people that are on this board, and I know your names, I wish you would stand up right now and say, I'm willing to resign my spot. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, if we have no more audio, we have a couple to read. You want to go first, and I'll go. All right, Mr. Kent has, I think, 2.
So these are both by Margaret Moylan. As promised to a friend, I am emailing regarding the transportation cart from and to Building A and cars and vice versa. We have many people in the Bay that rely on this transport that are disabled or are elderly. They like going to see the bands and to the functions and don't because there is no transportation to and from Building A. Why is there no transportation during the summer months? A suggestion was made that the cart be rented by donations from the clubs in the Bay, if that is the problem. My thought are not that. This should be provided by our recreational fees. Since we are a deed-restricted community, as I have read, a deed-restricted community expires in 30 years in Florida. When this ends, the administration can no longer force people to pay the recreational fees, nor enforce any DOR rules. If I am incorrect, please explain why this does not apply to Barefoot Bay. Also, a charter needs to be reviewed and reinstated to the county every 3 or 5 years with a payment to the county. Again, if I am incorrect, let me know why.
Mr. Chairman, can we have legal explain that?
You want to go into that now here?
Would answer that now.
Okay.
I was planning on bringing it up at the end with the attorney's report, but I can jump on it now. On the first question on whether or not the district's deed of restrictions are enforceable, in Florida under Chapter 712, there's a statute called the Marketable Record Titles Act. And what it requires is if you're going to encumber property with restrictions, like our deed of restrictions, it has to be restated periodically to avoid not becoming effective. Whenever Barefoot Bay amends its DORs, it provides the notice in such a way of the amendment that complies with renoticing the DOR. So that is why our DORs are still effective after the statutory time period, which was 30 years. As for the charter question, I'm unaware of the requirements that were referred to, but our charter is a part of the Brevard County Code of Ordinances. We're a lowercase d dependent special district, right? They don't provide us with any money, but they govern our charter. So our charter is enshrined with the county, essentially. So I was unaware of what was being referenced at that point.
Thank you. That's exactly what I emailed her.
Okay. All right. It's really closed there, Mr. Schwelter. No, we're reading. We closed the voice section and we're reading the written section now. I mean, there will be a town hall meeting coming up. If you might want to go further into that. To clarify it? Well, I'll let him clarify it, I guess. I could do it for you. Thank you. All right, do you have another one, or I go? All right, I have a. Is Chucky Kelly here? All right, to read this, if he couldn't or she couldn't make it. He couldn't. Please distribute it to all trustees and the community manager, the attorney, and a few copies for anybody in the audience that may want to participate. The issue should be concentrating on the budget. We have 3 trustees that ran a filibuster at the last meeting and tried to effectively shut down Barefoot Bay by opposing the resolution that was already drawn up. Redo the resolution, it never would have made the deadline. Those 3 trustees better come up with a solution to pay for what they propose without sticking it to our superior employees by capping them at 2%. They better do the painful thing of suggesting where they can cut monies or increase fees, not the annual, but across the board user fees, to pay for their suggestions. Those 3 trustees need to be held accountable. Hopefully I'll be able to attend, and he did not. So I read that. All right. This one is a little longer. I'm going to try to get this in my 3 minutes. From Randy Loveland. He's not able to be here today. Please read this letter. Okay. I am beyond disappointed in a few of our board members that seem to have lost sight of their responsibilities or how to carry out those responsibilities. If you are table hopping at one of our wonderful music events and all you are bringing to that table is your statement that you're going to fire the community manager, you may have lost sight of your responsibility as a BOT member. If you must go outside the scope of your fiduciary duties, then please make it checking for ADA compliance opportunities, possible accident hazards, or opportunities to make suggestions for improving our current facilities. If you're going to speak out to the department heads behind closed doors in the dark, outside the sunshine, and work to plan the exit of the community manager, please be transparent with your efforts. And by the way, speaking to only 2 of the 6 department heads is an agenda, not a quorum or a real assessment. For those BOT members that may be meeting to discuss actions that are surely going to go into the agenda at an upcoming meeting, it would be wise not to invite a witness, as that could be misunderstood as a violation of sunshine laws. For those members that were appointed to the BOT as opposed to being duly elected by the electors of Barefoot Bay, it would be a good idea to get out and meet the folks you are there to serve rather than fixing things that may not be broken. The people of Barefoot Bay are ones you all need to please, not a department head's agenda, not a single group agenda, and not a personal agenda. The majority's agenda is or should be the focus. Better yet, please do what a trustee does. Oversee the approval of the budget. Hold town halls to hear your electors and workshop problems as an elected body. The most important word in trustee is trust. Please gain and keep the communities. We need you, but we need you to be part of keeping the calm, overseeing our spend, and doing it all transparently and with full disclosure. We are not a place where secrets, cabals, or plots are ever a healthy thing, and that behavior can do a ton of damage to all those involved and those of us looking to you for our community leadership. If you are a department head, it is your job to do your job. If you're going to be in a position to serve the residents, be here during admin office hours so the residents have access to you. I highly advise that you learn your lane, become very good at that lane, because when you venture outside of that lane and start to hinder other departments, the process or policy and procedure, a crash is going to be inevitable. The people of Barefoot Bay through district fees are your source of income, and we are grateful to have you and happy to pay you for your time. We will not, however, accept poor service, calamity caused by pockets of gossip, schemes, or hidden agendas. All we ask is that you perform the duties we hired you to perform. Job descriptions are available. At the time we ask that you perform them, posted schedules. And if that is not within your wheelhouse or part of what you're willing to do, let us know. We all realize that social time is important when you work and can forgive time and can forge timeless friendships. Just make it positive. It is healthy for you and does no harm to the community you agreed to serve. Okay. All right, so that's the end of that one. Well, board? Yep. Okay. Make it quick. Push the button to make sure the microphone is on. Just your name and your address, please.
My name is Amy Altadonna. I'm at 428 Barefoot Boulevard. Just quickly wanted to say the only interactions I've had with Kent have been positive, respectful, quickly responds to everything and anything I've asked. Even if it's not what I want to hear, he's still respectful and replies. He's the only one of the board members I think I've ever seen at any of the activities in the evenings. I've met Ann one time at the pool. She was nice. I don't know any of the rest of you. Kent I know. I've met in person. He replies and gets back with everything. So in the words of my dad, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Thank you. All right, and that does close item 9. Item 10, unfinished business. We don't have any, I don't believe. Item 11, new business. Item 11A, the chairman's statement to the board. The chair has the floor. I will open the board to discussion and comments after my statement so the board can discuss or question anything I talk about if they want to. There will be no motions involved. As I have stated at various meetings before, apparently one in April that somebody brought up, a trustee's main purpose is to manage the funds of the district and to set policies for income, including fees charged and assessments to the properties, to review the proposed budget, to make sure the amounts are within the income and not excessive. The board is also charged to set the rules for use of the amenities. The Board of Trustees were elected by the residents of Barefoot Bay Recreation District. Any vacated positions were filled by qualified candidates appointed by that board. Foremost, the board is to look out for the interest of the property owners and residents, not the employees. That's the job of the community manager and his staff. This board is also not tasked with the day-to-day operations of the district and its employees. Those operations are and should remain the purview of the staff who was hired to do that job. The district employs a special district management company called SDS. SDS is tasked with locating, hiring, and managing an employee to serve as BBRD's community manager. In the contract, Section 3, Paragraph B, Item 7, is a provision that the community manager shall manage all employees of Barefoot Bay Recreation District, including, but not limited to, the hiring, appointment, termination, and/or suspension of district employees. In Section 6, Subsection C of that same contract, I quote, "It's understood by the parties that the district will provide the in-house staff necessary to conduct the day-to-day activities of the district. The role of SDS is to manage the affairs of the district through the community manager as provided herein. It is further understood by the parties that SDS and the community manager are responsible to the board, and the in-house staff are responsible to SDS and the community manager." End of quote. As you can see, the Board of Trustees does not supervise the staff. The board should be working with the community manager to the benefit of the district, not working against or going around him. That being said, the following are my opinions. I'll start with our previous 2 meetings. I was shocked when I realized some board members wanted to change the resolution that was presented. FY24's budget was set and approved on time. Now the board wants to instruct the staff on how to manage their employees. I thought I was at a union meeting, a negotiation table. The board was undoing weeks of work the staff did to set pay grades, bringing the minimum wage progression into accordance with state mandates, and raise the base rates on some pay grades. The same thing they did last year. Worked great. This board demanded that everybody gets a 3% cost of living raise and instructed the staff to do so. The board had already approved the total amount for increases requested by staff previously, so they just threw that out the window. If the amounts are to be changed, the budget will again have to be amended. This board is going to be known as the redo board. This board redid the fee schedule, first time at my suggestion, then redid it again a few meetings ago. Then we redid it again at the last meeting. I even heard one trustee bring up redoing the smoking area at Pool 1 Complex that was worked on by trustees and staff for months and put into motion a few meetings ago. The board, first off, needs to get out of and stay out of staff's way. And secondly, and very importantly, make decisions that it can stand by. The union's scenario last meeting was bad enough, but now it seems like the board is emulating the House of Representatives. I heard rumors that some members of the board and some staff are going after the community manager instead of looking out for the good of the district. I wrote this a few days ago, by the way. I would warn the members of the board to be sure about any information they receive from other sources. Be aware there are disgruntled employees with axes to grind and others with hidden agendas. This could include all levels of staff. Some are very good at manipulation. They have absolutely no business trying to influence board members for their own purposes. Some trustees may also have their own agendas. What I am saying is that you need to consider the source of the information given to you and think about what it really means. Mostly, you need to think about how your actions will affect the district as a whole and its residents as individuals. You're not here to take care of the staff. You were voted in to take care of the residents. That's the way I interpret my observations from the last few weeks. Now I'm going to conclude with some facts, and apparently some things have been said this evening that might be in here. I have not been asked by anyone to include this information, but I feel everyone in Barefoot Bay needs to know it. Interviews were held by SDS for the position of Barefoot Bay Recreation District's community manager. BBRD's chairman of the Board of Trustees, Mr. Mino, at that time, who, by the way, had previously a superintendent at a Board of Education in Michigan in charge of hiring and firing supervisory positions, was present and assisted at those interviews. Mr. Shoshone was selected for that position over other qualified applicants by SDS and our chairman of the board, and was accepted by the full board. Mr. Shoshone's qualifications for the community manager's position start with his Florida local government experience, which began more than a quarter of a century ago. Mr. Shoshone holds a master's degree in public administration. He received that from the University of Central Florida. He also has a bachelor's degree in political science received from the University of Florida. I don't know anybody here that could fill those shoes. I really don't. I could go on and on about his many accomplishments, but this meeting is not and should not be about Mr. Shoshone. It's about the budget, again, and setting a trustee policy in the rules manual if needed. Now the floor is open to anyone who wants to make a comment. Huh? Yeah, the board, it's open for comment. The floor for the board.
I try very hard not to nibble in staff. People said to me, why aren't you down at the admin building? Well, I don't want to nibble into staff and management positions. I think it's absolutely critical that you let the community manager and the staff do their job. If I get a constituent concern, I immediately forward it to Kent or Matt. That's somebody that can take care of it. I do not get into the middle of it. And I just think that this is a horrible experience. And as many of you folks said at the podium today, I'm sorry you had to be here.
Man.
Thank you. First of all, Joanne, I haven't been wrapped around anybody's little finger since my granddaughter was born 25 years ago. Yep. Well, my understanding is he's probably no longer with us, so that may be. But I will tell you that, yes, I've received complaints from staff, and I did talk to Mr. Shoshone about them. When I did my interview with Mr. Shoshone, I said to him, I'm not going to be the one that hangs around here every morning. That's not me. I don't want to do your job. But when staff brings me things that are about a manager, then I go to Jason, which I also did, and I spoke with Garrett. So I have done what I consider to be my diligence. The only thing I asked for was that we have a community manager evaluation, and somehow all of this erupted. So I'm not quite sure where this got off the rails, but I'm fine. Yeah, that may be. So at this point, when we get to this, I believe everybody should have an evaluation. We get ours when you vote. I understand that. But at this point, I think that Jason and Mr. Shoshone should put together an evaluation plan that lets the board have our input with him, and then we move on, and he takes it.
Folks in the audience.
Be quiet.
Folks in the audience.
Quiet. Quiet down, please, or you'll be asked to leave. You need to quiet or leave.
There's a lot of folks here that want to hear what the trustees have to say, so let's let them do the talking. And again, if you have to be continually reminded to have order, we will remove you from the meeting. So let's get through this, please, all right?
Please be quiet back there, or we'll have to do that. Mr. Jason?
So, Mr. Chairman, Board, so just so everyone...
Can't hear.
You really have to speak right into these. So just so everyone's clear, in our management contract that we have with the Bay, SGS's contract, there is a provision in there for an evaluation. That's been a thing. It hasn't been done for the last several years, but it is a thing. And it's entirely up to the board. It's not an SDS requirement. It was something, how many years we've been here? 14, 15 years? It started back in 2012. Yeah. Mr. Klosky's probably the only one on the board that has knowledge of this because he was on the board at that time. So the board requested that we have an evaluation on there. Fine. It, again, not an SDS initiative. But so we put that in there. Over the last couple of years, you haven't done one, which...
The reason we didn't have it last year is because Ken got hot.
Yeah.
The reason we didn't have it last year is because Ken Shoshone started and
right.
I'm
Yeah.
dying.
The
Well,
mic's
it's
not
on.
working.
What do you want me
Yeah.
to do? The reason why...
So
While we're waiting on that, I called John Coffey. I had severe concerns that a evaluation was being sent out by a subordinate. I have never worked in an environment where a subordinate sends a evaluation out on their boss. Never. So I also talked to Jason. Jason told me the same thing, that it's not required. I also talked to John Coffey. The last one done in the Bay was 2018. And so it's been 5 years since an evaluation, and we've had a change of managers.
Well, actually, the last one was in 2020. 2020 was the last time. And then when John left, the last year, we didn't have one for John because he left in April. And when Ken got hired in, I guess it was June or somewhere there. So we didn't bother having it because for that there was a change of trustees and all that stuff. So that's why we figured we'd do it coming this year.
Okay.
It's always been that way from 2012. As what
Be quiet, excuse me, be quiet out there.
Right.
As Jason brought up, that it wasn't thing the board did go along with since 2012, and we had it for the community manager, for the attorney, and for SDS, and he knows really well about when I'm talking about SDS.
Yep.
I think it was I would say 2012 or maybe even sooner than that, 2010.
I have to go back and look.
Yeah,
It's
we
been a
have
while.
the thing there.
Yeah.
And we didn't have none for none of it, all three of them, since 2020. Because with all the change and everything.
I think, excuse me, I think we're getting off the agenda, the item. That should be covered under the agenda item that's next. So, you know, I just wanted for this to, if you had something in response to what I was saying in my opinions. Okay? All right. Okay. Then we shall move on to item 11B, which Mr. Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This agenda item was requested by Ann. You know, it came to my attention that there was a evaluation being disseminated, and I went, like I always do, and I checked our rules. I could not find any Barefoot Bay rule that would provide for an annual evaluation of the community manager. I spoke with several trustees about it, and my understanding at that time was it had happened previously, but again, there was no direct rule on it. I then went ahead and I called Jason, and we had about a 45-minute conversation on it, and he said that SDS had previously run community manager evaluations, but that, you know, they weren't requesting one now. So, you know, at that point, it was the most appropriate course of action to place this item on the agenda for board consideration on whether the board wishes to presently conduct such an evaluation. And maybe looking forward, it might be helpful if the board considers having an actual rule on this, something in our rules, so that every year this isn't a, you know, flashpoint issue. So that's why this agenda item is here, and an opportunity for you all to discuss what you'd like to do. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Ann, this is yours, so go ahead and start discussion.
I will follow up with, I believe everyone should have an evaluation. And it is in our contract with SDS. I'm going to have to ask y'all to be quiet, please. This is something that is done in all businesses that I'm aware of. I have been affiliated with districts in the past where there were districts that did do evaluations. Generally, it did come from the management company, not from a subordinate. I can't disagree with that. And I'm not asking to do the one that was disseminated to us. I'm asking that you and Kent get together and come up with what you think is the best way for us to evaluate. Because that is part of our job, is to be certain that we're getting what we need from SDS and our community manager. Now, having heard from all of you today, it's clear you are happy, and I'm thrilled with that. Absolutely thrilled with it. So we're not looking to hang anybody here. We're not looking to cause any issues. We're looking to do an evaluation, and that's it.
Please be quiet.
So,
Please.
Mr. Chairman, Board, so I would wholeheartedly agree with that. So it's really, in my mind, there's two questions to the board. First off, do you want to do an evaluation now? And if you do, great. And then the second question is, do you want to move forward with the evaluation as it is now, or do you want to change it? Judging by some of the conversations I've had with you guys, I think you want to change it up, which is perfectly fine. Again, SDS, it's not an SDS thing. So if you want to appoint one person, or as Ann said, if you want to have me work with Kent, we'll come up with a list of questions. I'm happy to do that. It's really at the pleasure of the board. Like I said, it's in our agreement, and it is at the pleasure of the board to do. So we're looking for direction.
Again, I called John Coffey to kind of get some of his wisdom on it. I think the evaluation is overly abundant with so much junk on it that I don't think it's any good. I did a lot of evaluations as a paramedic educator, and this one is 6 pages long. Every item's got like 5 pieces to it. There's the word I'm looking for. It's cumbersome. Now, do I think we need an evaluation? Absolutely. But that one that was last done on John was cumbersome. Now, to give John a little credit here, that evaluation came from the National Council of Cities. So it was a standard form used in other parts of the country. But it's 6 pages long, has 10 parts in it. Each part has at least 5 subparts. It doesn't really tell you much.
And use this one that we have right here, but eliminate some of the wordings and some of the.
Yeah, it's a relatively valueless tool.
Well,
yes.
Here's a suggestion, like Ann was saying. I don't know what's wrong with mine here. The idea of having Jason and Kent come up with the evaluation, I think, is a good idea. He needs to have input into that, I think, so it would be good for him to learn from the trustees to help him in his job. So I think he should be involved in the process to see what he can get out of it. if Jason's willing to go for it, because that's actually who, we're evaluating him, but he works for Jason. And if it's going to be of any value, it needs to be value to Mr. Shoshone, and it needs to be of value to SDS.
Absolutely.
Two questions, Jason. How many districts does SDS manage?
We currently have somewhere north of 120.
And how many of those do evaluations?
None of them currently do evaluations. However, hang on. However,
Quiet in the audience, please.
So most of our districts have, the manager has a book of business. So we have anywhere from 10 to 20 districts that we manage, depending on the size and complexity. We have a handful where we have managers on site for a specific district. So, but they don't do evaluations either.
I think there's something wrong with my mic. The only other statement I would make on this is I meet with the community manager at least once a week, every Tuesday, and usually more. So I really don't have a need for written evaluation because I tell him weekly what I think he's doing right and what I think he's doing wrong and where I feel he needs improvement. All the trustees could be doing that. And SDS doesn't really require one. But if that's what we want, if the board wants one, I have no problem doing that. The only problems that I had is that is a very cumbersome one. I'd like to see it trimmed down to make it very useful. And I'd like to get the board to put in the policy manual like a timeline. We need to do that in a policy manual. The timeline, who actually receives these. I don't think anybody else should receive these besides
They should go back to Jason.
Kent or Jason. That's it. It should not be anybody else in Barefoot Bay gets these and sees them and manipulates them or whatever they want to do with them. If we do it, I believe we should set a time up. We go over the evaluation with the community manager. That's what they're for. And then give the evaluation to SDS because that's where it belongs. And it's still a public record, so if somebody wants to see that evaluation, they can request a record from SDS. So if you want to, figure out dates or what do you want to do?
I don't know when you've done this in the past. I know that you had done them in the past. Is there a specific time of year they're done? Are they done?
I've been here 27 months, and I've never even seen one until the other day. The date on it said it was from February to March, I think it said, and it was due in April.
John sent me a sample with the board member's name blacked out so I could see what it was. And that one had a date of April.
Mr. Chairman, may I say something because I did some of these evaluations? We would do an evaluation for the community manager, which is basically a popularity contest. If you were getting along with them at the time, you gave them high grades. If you were mad at them, you gave them low grades. All we accomplished really is hurt their opportunity to go and get future employment, which if you've ever been a community manager at Barefoot Bay, you want to get out of here as quick as you can. The other evaluation we would do is we did SDS. How we evaluated SDS, really to this day I don't know, because except for the time that we use some of the services that they do provide to us at no cost usually, there was nothing to really evaluate. So it was basically a duplicate evaluation. And when you're a trustee, you're working for free. My time's valuable. I don't have time to just fill out pieces of paper for nothing. We did an evaluation on the attorney. That was a little bit more in-depth because basically the attorney makes a lot of the decisions for the BOT. We need legal advice. So that one was probably the only one I would suggest you bring back. The other things, they're just popularity contests. They're a waste of your time. They're a waste of their time. These people right here gave you an evaluation of not only Mr. C, but the entire management staff. When they're not happy, you will know it. They're not.
All right. I think my microphone's about dead, so where do you want to go with this? Do you want to do something with it, or do you want to make it old business and have a meeting, or not do it at all? Please be quiet out there. This is a business meeting of the board. This is not the town hall meeting. So, this is Ann's item, so it's, you get to
Is there a
start.
consensus among the board?
Go with what, Ho?
I would say that we need a streamlined evaluation. We don't need that tome that came out previously, and I'm sure Frank the Baker is going to tell you that thing was a pain in the butt kiss. So I would think it'd be a good thing if Jason and Kent came up with a one-pager, something that we could do quickly, and I think that would benefit future groups. And again, I agree that if something's not going right, we usually hear about it. I'm developing a great group of residents that aren't afraid to email me. So you'll find out pretty quick. So thanks.
All right.
Bruce, my only other suggestion is that maybe Jason and Kent have a annual individually with each, because we obviously can't do it together,
Right.
where each board member can come in and talk with them, and then it isn't written if that's a problem. And
I
then
like that idea. I think it's a much better approach, because then he actually really knows what you're writing down. I mean, if you write a 3 or a 5, or what does that really mean?
And I think you pick a time of year when you're not in the middle of budgets and swamped.
Right.
You pick a time that works for the both of you, and you tell Kent what it is, and he can relay that, and he can put it, I agree with Bruce, in the policy manual so that we have it going forward.
All right, so if
And put
maybe
it
you can make
somewhere. Put it somewhere not after an election. It needs to be before an election.
Well, first thing I think we should do is make a motion to approve that Jason and Mr. Shoshone get together and come up with a workable situation, bring it back to us, and then we'll come up with the dates and how to proceed with it.
Okay.
And if you just want to talk to them, or do you want to write it up? First, I guess we need a concession on that.
Yeah.
You want to just talk? No.
I'm good with talk.
You're good with
I'm
talk.
good with talking.
You're good with talk. Talk. So we have 4 talks. So if you can come up with some time.
So what we can do, we can come up with some times and some topics, some guided questions to get good feedback from you all.
And this should not be a one-way. You
No.
should be able to say to us,
That'd be great.
I don't like the way you did this, or I really need your support on that. I mean, I think it needs to be a two-way conversation, not just one way.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I would say that's going to work because, about a month ago, I met with you for about 3 hours, and we had a really good dialogue back and forth about what was going on in the Bay, things that Kent was doing well, a couple of little areas of improvement, but it was a great conversation. It was definitely 2 ways.
Okay, so we're settled on that, and we're finished with this agenda item.
So one quick question,
Okay.
just some direction. Timeline. I said didn't want to do it with an election. I know the election's coming up. What kind of timeline do you want to look at? In October?
The election's coming up in October.
This is October.
This is October.
Yeah.
I think that this is a going forward. I don't know that you have to do it tomorrow.
Right.
I think you just need to come up with what works for the two of you.
Right.
I wouldn't make it in the middle of the summer where people are gone and on vacation. But, I think it sounds like they used to be done in April from what I heard.
Yeah,
So is April a good time or is that a buried time? I think you know your work process better than we do, so you need to come up with that time. And you don't have to do it right now. I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm just saying.
Sure. I just want
find
some
a time.
direction from the board. If we come back with April and everyone was thinking it was going to happen tomorrow, I just wanted to.
No.
Right.
Not me. April's good.
I was just going to
April
say,
good?
yeah.
If that's what he wants, okay.
I was going to say for this year, I think the community spoke in favor of Kent.
Yeah,
I think we just need to bypass it this year, and then give Jason and Kent a year to give us a meaningful topic list, and then next year we could sit down with them. Like I said, I spent 3 good hours about a month ago with them.
Okay, that's settled then.
One more point of clarification. Do you guys want recommended language to include in the Barefoot Bay rules to make this a yearly
I think so.
evaluation?
Yeah.
I think if you do that and provide it to Jason and Kent, then they can include it with what they come back with.
Perfect. Thank you.
Right. You definitely have a consensus on that, right? Okay. And we can move on, safe to move on. Item 11C, amending the budget, rebalancing FY 2024 adopted budget. Mr. Shoshone. Be up on the screen.
This is Resolution 2023-16, a resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Barefoot Bay Recreation District, amending Resolution 2023-08, amending the budget.
The table identified as Exhibit A as attached to the resolution depicts various administrative actions taken by the Board of Trustees affecting the fiscal year 24 adopted budget. On August 22nd, 2023, the Board of Trustees approved the revised Barefoot Bay Recreation District fiscal year 24 fee schedule, resulting in decreased revenue expectations. To offset some of these decreased revenue expectations, the Board of Trustees agreed to reduce the Repair and Maintenance Capital Project Department's budget. On September 14th, the Board of Trustees approved the Pidgeot Insurance proposal, resulting in the need to increase various departments' expenditure budgets. On September 26, 2023, the Board of Trustees approved the fiscal year 24 golf fee schedule, resulting in decreased revenue expectations for the Golf Pro Shop Department. Staff recommends the Board of Trustees approve Resolution 2023-16, amending the fiscal year 24 budget by decreasing revenues and expenditure budgets equally to maintain an overall balanced budget according to the table below, using $84,892 of the reserve for capital account line.
Any discussion?
Do we need to have it read by Garrett?
So
You
he
read
did.
it?
He did already.
Yeah, he already read
Yeah, I already read
resolution.
the short title.
You missed that one.
So you need a
Okay,
motion,
so
Bruce?
What will this resolution was going to do is there a dollar amount that we're looking at to go down?
Yeah, so if you look at the table, either on your agenda or up on the screen, is if every account line that's going to get affected, either going up or down, is shown first by the revenues, then by the expenditures, and then by reserves. And so for all the decisions that the board made over since the proposed budget was presented to the board, this was a result of changes both on expenditures and revenues. So we have to always have a balanced budget, and this is what is produced.
I guess I'm not getting it through the head. Are we picking out things to get rid of? Or?
No, that you already did that. You already did.
We
that.
did.
You
that.
just
Okay.
need a motion, am I correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and what we need is the motion.
I move that we approve Resolution 2023-16, amending the FY 2024 budget by decreasing revenues and expenditure budgets equally to maintain the overall balanced budget according to the table above, using $84,892 of the reserve of capital account line.
Okay.
I second it.
We have Mrs. Hanson with the motion and Mr. Brinker with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Right. Moving on to item 12, Manager's Report, Mr. Shoshone.
In the Resident Relations Department, the ARC meeting of September 26, 2023, there were 14 consent permits approved, 5 other permits approved, and the Violations Committee meeting of September 22, 2023, there were 8 cases came into compliance. 1 case, DOR is working with the homeowner, and 9 cases found to be in violation. For Food and Beverage Department, a reminder that there will be a grand opening on Thursday, October 26th to officially celebrate the opening of the Cabana Bay Bar and reopening of pool number 1 with a ribbon cutting ceremony at 4 p.m. After the ceremony, there will be a light appetizer buffet, and the Alan Ronco Band will play on the lakeside stage until 7:30 p.m. Lift your spirits at our annual Halloween party on Friday, October 27th. The lounge and lake stage area is creeping it real with a Real Deal Band from 7 to 10:30 p.m. They are back to the bone. Please come as you aren't, as prizes are awarded for best costumes. Don't forget, you can gobbling up some screaming good food at the Freak Truck. The 2024 Winter Beats Series schedule will be coming out next Monday, October 16th, with a full lineup of great entertainment. For our Property Services Department, for the pools, completed painting all of the pools under the walkway roof at pool number 1. Worked with vendors to address issues with pool number 1. Continue to solicit bids for concrete for pool number 1 projects. Repaired leaking valves at pool number 2. For the lounge, began painting of the lounge interior. Began the process of replacing the lounge restroom doors. The administration building, continue to solicit bids for repairing administration building leaks and continue to solicit bids for replacing administration building floors. Began work on the lawn bowling irrigation system. Worked with the vendor to replace the Cart Guy's AC unit. Repaired the Veterans Gathering Center air conditioner. And solicited bids to install an automatic entrance door for building D&E. For the Golf Pro Shop, daylight savings time will be ending in early November. As a result, on November 1st, the hours of operation will be 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. For tournaments, Sunday morning scramble Christmas event, October 21st with an 8:30 a.m. shotgun start, 108 players max, 4-person scramble. Sign up in the Pro Shop and call 772-664-3174 with questions. 9 and 18-hole ladies shotgun, October 31st with an 8:30 a.m. shotgun start. Must be a member of either the 9 or 18-hole leagues. Call the Pro Shop at 772-664-3174 with questions. Some information, some comments pertaining to some other items for the beach restroom project. We, the board and the residents received a briefing at the last meeting. We're still at the same point. We're awaiting delivery of the county sidewalk easement conveyance documents for the Board of Trustees to approve. This week I sent an email to higher levels of county management asking for their help on moving this forward. I've identified for both staff and that higher level of management that as the days, weeks, and months go by, the costs to our residents keep escalating for materials, for labor, for delivery costs. Just want, they need to know that the longer it takes, the more cost is going to be incurred by our residents. Next item, accessibility ramps. The CVO, a great organization that the district partners with and has had a long partnership with, had come to me and asked for our assistance. The CVO places ADA ramps for our residents at their homes, and there's times where the residents no longer need the ramp, and the CVO does not currently have a place to store them. And so they've requested our assistance. So I've spoken with our property services manager, Matt Getz, about placing the ramps over at Falcon Drive at the property services facility outside, which CVO said that would be fine with them. And Matt said that would be good with him also. We put one caveat that anytime anyone with the CVO or associated with the CVO needs to come in and pick up a ramp or come in and drop off the ramp, that one of our staff would be there, for supervision. And so again, they were good with that. Wanted to do is get feedback from the trustees about moving forward. I know One of the things that we do need to do, of course, is speak with our insurance provider and get their feedback, which I relayed to the CVO, and make sure that they're not having any issues. I did have one quick conversation with them, and their recommendation was that we would have an agreement, a kind of a hold harmless, whether that's the exact term of the agreement, but they indicated like a hold harmless agreement between the district and the CVO. And so at this time, before any further discussions with them, that was their initial reply.
The only thing I can think of that might be an issue is if you were to have a fire sweep through there, if these are wooden ramps, Elaine, I don't really know, but if they're all metal. Okay. Our coverage would not cover whatever's out there, just so you know that. But yeah, and you could certainly ask your agent, ask Dan if he can give you that coverage. I'm just not sure. But he might be able to, so that if something were to happen to them, they could be replaced, because I'm sure that would be cool. I mean, obviously you're storing them for the cost. Okay. I was going to say, I'm sure that goes well. Okay. Sure. Okay. Yeah, I think as long as that's part of your hold harmless, Ken, I think you're fine.
And at the moment, the one that we were talking about has already been reused, so we don't
Oh,
have to do
good.
it right now, but this keeps happening.
Mm-hmm.
We just need a decision.
It's temporary for the most part, right? You're gonna get from that house and then preparing it for the next.
And then you find somebody that needs it. Okay.
We
Good.
get 1 to 2 requests a month over at the Veterans Service Office for ramps. So it's a highly used item.
So is there anything you need from us on that, or just say it's okay? Go ahead and do it.
If I can get a consensus to, and this will be something that will come back to the board for a vote, but a consensus to work with our legal counsel and with our insurance provider, and then bring an agenda item back to the board for consideration.
So we're looking for a consensus to go ahead? Yes, 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 Joe, yes, yes.
Okay.
Unanimous consensus.
Let's see. Nope, got a few more here. Next item, one of the officers with the softball league contacted me, and the trustees may have different knowledge pertaining to the softball facility and the maintenance there. For many years, the softball maintenance, as far as the field work, the mowing was being, for the outfield was being done by our maintenance provider that was taking care of the golf course, the lawn bowling, and did the outfield. And that's still continuing with our current provider. But a lot of other work that was done out there was done by a couple of members of the softball league, very dedicated to that, and did fantastic work on the field. The issue was that the arrangement that was occurring between the district, where the district was providing funds to those individuals, were not quite according to what, just to put it in certain ways, that it wasn't correct. It wasn't in correct order as far as what was required under various policies and other requirements. Also, there was also insurance issues, having 2 residents out there doing the work, especially with power equipment. And so the district took on those responsibilities of doing the maintenance work. The softball league, over this period of time, was still interested in being able to come back to do that work. One of the things, and we've had a lot of discussions in person, over the phone, emails, or again, over this period of time. A lot of options were put out to the league for various reasons that just didn't seem to work out, again, at this point. So what they are asking now is that, and when those discussions began, they were not registered. Now they registered with a 501c7. Okay. They've asked if they were to.
I don't know what that is. A 501c7.
I can make a quick comment on it's you've heard of 501c3. Okay, so to my knowledge, is the 501c7 is more related to athletic organizations. To the best of my knowledge, that's.
Yeah, the IRS code says a social club that is organized for pleasure, recreation, and other similar purposes. So that's the composition.
So they have an established organization. One of the discussions in the past was for them to obtain insurance. I think different officers with the league, when they looked at it, I think they may have looked into it and they felt that the cost was prohibitive at that time. Different officers are, I believe, in place now, and so they've asked some questions. Or, my thoughts is that if they were to obtain their own insurance, would they be able to, make an agreement with the district so that they would be able to go back doing the work out there again? And then kind of a second step to that is if they were to purchase their own power equipment, so they wouldn't be using the district's, if that would assist in, going in that direction and make that decision. So the question at hand is, again, is this something that the board as a consensus would like me to delve into further, have discussions with our insurance company, and kind of lay out all the necessities to bring something back to the board as an agenda item?
Yeah, I know they haven't been happy. I'm clear on that. And I don't disagree if they've formed this basically corporation and they are able to purchase their own insurance. I do think them using our equipment is a problem in that if they get injured, we could get sued because we didn't oil the chainsaw the right way or we didn't change a wheel the right way or whatever. So I do think they should have their own equipment. I guess my question, is it the same two people that do it every time? Or is it
Yes, it is.
Is there a reason we just didn't make them part-time employees for that job only?
We were paying them 400 hours each.
Yeah, it was $800 a month. I'm glad they became a 501c7 because this was a concern of mine last year on the board, that they're out there using the base power equipment. They're not employees. Oh my God, can you imagine what would happen if we had a liability claim? And for those of you that weren't here last meeting, our liability went up $69,000. We cannot afford a hiccup of any way.
Personally, I think they formed, which is really a nonprofit, so that allows us to pay them without being an employee. Is that the way that works?
We can contract with them.
Contract them.
Yeah.
All right.
So in any contract, and I've told Kent this too, based on the direction of the board from prior meetings, but all of these agreements where we have some risk exposure with folks on Barefoot Bay property, or maybe they're utilizing our property, we're going to run the final version of that contract through our insurance folks. Make sure that they sign off on approve if they have any additional recommendations. Because I know that's something that you all really wanted to prioritize this year was risk transfer. So yeah, that's at the top of my mind. But yeah, we can contract with them, and we control everything essentially. If we're in the position where we can dictate, you can't have more than X number of people working at a time. You can only use your equipment, right, during these hours, these days. So.
Would you be drawing up that contract?
Yeah.
Okay.
And are they getting workers' comp insurance as well, or just liability? Has that been discussed?
There'd be a private contractor. They would have to take care of any of that.
Yeah, we can provide, I know we have, our procurement policy already provides that certain vendors have to hold certain insurances. But yeah, based on whether or not it's, needed, yeah, we can require it.
I think that would be, as long as we're not controlling their hours and there's a, well, there's a whole thing,
Yeah.
list of things for contractors and
Yeah.
employees that act like they're contractors.
Kent's not going to call them up every week to tell
Yeah.
them to go do something by
Yeah.
a deadline. But if we give them a range of time, like if we don't want them out there, during certain times of day or something, or on
And are
weekends.
they going to carry the limit of liability that the Bay carries so that when they have to indemnify us, we would have that same indemnification?
Yeah, I think we have a standard.
We have $5 million.
We have a standard contract provision for our vendors through our procurement policy. So it would just be,
Okay.
and then, but if our insurance folks come back and, want to see something more, then yeah, we can include that.
Okay.
It's just a comment. The league members that used to do work was Tony and Nelson. Besides being dedicated, they're passionate. The members of the league were extremely happy, with the work that they, did out there. And, if we could make this happen, it would be a win-win situation. I won't talk for our property services manager, but I believe, he would be, supportive. I would be very supportive also. So hopefully we can get this to work out.
And it sounds like they've made a big effort to try and work with us, so I don't have any problem with you pursuing what can be done and bringing it back to the board.
So what do you need, just a consensus to move on this then, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm good.
Any problems? Nope. You have a consensus.
Since we're talking about safety, I had learned recently that the district used to have a staff safety committee that, for whatever reason or another, went to the wayside a few years ago. So we, this month, looking at the date, I believe it was this month, we had our first new safety committee meeting for staff members. And again, just a small group management, and I think we had a lot of good conversations. We know we've got work here to do to make a lot of improvements in safety. However, there's been a lot of improvements already done here in the Bay, and we're going to keep moving forward. Had conversations with our new provider, and so they're all geared up to be able to participate with us at the meetings, either in person or have them on the phone. And so they're going to be visiting again. I don't know if it's next month, but this month. And after they do their normal tour, they'll be joining us in the meeting, and we'll be getting all the feedback of what can we do, what things can we do better in the Bay, what can we do with this committee. So we'll be talking right with the experts in the field. So, and we'll keep moving forward with that. Let's see. Another item is for our administration building for water intrusion that's been going on for many years. Well, I'll say years in the building. And so what we've done, I sent the email out to the trustees that we are bringing in a firm that's going to attempt to locate where the leaks are occurring. In the meantime, our staff has pulled up some carpet where it's gotten wet, so that's out. We've also had the staff cut into the drywall and exposed the drywall. We found studs had rusted due to the water in there. So we've had that at least in 2 offices. We also had intrusion in the front conference room, and staff has used caulking in the windows. They believe that the windows or the glass were put in upside down, was their feeling. So they did caulking in that area. That had not, to my knowledge, had been coming in. That was the first time since I've been here where it came in one day when the rain was coming in sideways. But for the back of the building, for the two offices, that's where water would come in, even if it wasn't, coming in sideways. So I spoke with them today, and we're again trying to get them scheduled. That's what they're going to be working on now, scheduled to come out there and do some tests on that. Our staff also has a theory that, and this isn't the first time they worked on it, on the outside of the building, maybe at the end of last year, the brick facade that goes around the bottom of the portion of the building, they took that off the back wall and found a hole in the wall and plugged it. Unfortunately, that wasn't it. So now what they've done is that it's hard to describe, but the right above the brick facade, there's kind of like a shelf area going around. So it looks like there may have been a gap between that and the actual wall of the building. So they've put in caulking all the way around to see if that would do it. And then, but talking with the company that's coming in, they said, stop, don't do any more work, because they want to be able to, show exactly what was happening, by, I'm assuming, pouring water wherever they're going to do it. Yeah. So they said, don't do any more work until they get there, so they can try to find that out. So.
No mold or mold?
There was mold all on the carpet. When the desk was moved, that exposed where all the mold was there. So.
And that's been eradicated at this point, or is that what this company's doing?
They aren't. Well, the work.
I guess my real question is: are you all safe in the building?
I'm not the expert on that. Is from what I mean visually, what we can see, it looks like that has been removed. Because again, carpet was pulled up, taken out. The way the carpet is it's done in these squares. Mm-hmm. And so you can pull up the squares and remove them, and it doesn't affect the rest of the carpet. So
the best thing ever invented. We had the same problem in our office, and we were able just to pull up a little section, and we were done. Yeah.
Kent, you've moved your office, haven't you?
I've been kind of going between the conference room, the staff conference room, and mine, and kind of. At first, when we had the issue, I was staying mainly in the conference room. Now that we've got all that out of there, I've kind of been bouncing back and forth because I've got so much in my office. So I've been limiting my time in there, and then pulling things out to bring over to the conference room, bringing a laptop in there. So it's kind of a
major problem. Major problem on the building is that back wall. That's what's leaking. It's more there than anywhere else in your office and DOR's office. Walls. It's a back wall that's leaking.
We've also have some discolored tiles that's just outside of that one office. That could be condensation from the air conditioner or some other leaking up there. But maybe, we'll get that company to check to verify if that's something separate from what's going on. So my last comment is for the residents, I'm incredibly humbled. I thank you all. It's hard to express myself here, but I love being in the Bay, being one of the residents here, spending time with you, and I guess just to sum it up, I love you all.
You done? Thank you, Mr. Shishod. Item 13, Attorney's Report. Mr. Olson?
Yeah, I'll try to keep it brief. DOR cases are proceeding along fine. Haven't had any hearings since our last meeting, but I have 2 hearings coming up before our next meeting. So hopefully I'll be able to report to you that we have 2 more additional final default judgments entered. And then there's been a property that we've been We've had a lawsuit since 2018, 526 Persimmon Drive. My understanding is that that property is now in compliance, finally. So, you know, DOR staff did a really good job with that. And then just to circle back on some of the comments earlier regarding the charter, had an opportunity to go back into our charter because I knew it was in there, and I'm going to read the language now. It's section 98-74, powers of the district, and it provides a non-exclusive list of powers that the Board of Trustees has, district has. And if you go down to number 12, it says that the board can adopt rules and regulations not inconsistent with our DOR. And then it goes on specifically to say the Barefoot Bay Recreation District shall have the specific power to enforce those restrictions appearing in the following deeds of restrictions and amended deeds of restrictions recorded in the official records of Brevard County, Florida, and all future amendments thereto. So that is where we derive our authority to enforce the DOR through us and not some other entity. So I knew it was in there. I just didn't want to hold up everything earlier. So,
all right.
Yep.
Thank you. Is that it? Thank you. Item 14, trustees' remarks. Let's start with Mr. Klosky and go around.
First question is for Ken Shoshone. On the beach area, where do we stand?
So again, we are waiting for the county to provide us with documents so that the process, it's easement documents where the board by consensus agreed to provide the county with a 10-foot wide easement specifically for a sidewalk if a sidewalk was going to ever be constructed. And so we're waiting for those. Once we receive them, I will be reviewing them, also providing those to legal counsel for his review. And so then, and probably to expedite this, probably ask Mr. Garrett to maybe go speak directly with the county and take me out as the middleman so we can get this moving forward in case he sees something that needs to get revised. And then that would be brought to the board on an agenda item for you to approve. That goes back to the county for them to take care of their process, accepting it, and then hopefully we're down to that last, that's it, is for them to give us our sidewalk waiver approval, and then the whole major site plan should be approved, and then it's for them to review our building application permit.
So if we had a target date of, say, April of next year, that it should all be completed, would that be fair to say that?
Well, I really thought we were going to be completed well before the end of this year.
That's what I
and
thought.
it just got, hung up in that process. And so, it's hard to say. It's again, this has all been, with the county process of
Because I
trying
know
to
this
move
whole
through.
project's been going on since '07.
Yeah.
Joe,
So,
can I interrupt you real fast?
go ahead.
This sidewalk issue that we're discussing is only across our property. There's two property owners at each end of our property on A1A. They don't want any sidewalk through there. So that sidewalk issue is only on our property. It's not on their property at all. Period.
Unfortunately, the code changed after we bought the restrooms. We bought the restrooms in November, and on January 1st, all kinds of EPA, zoning, and building codes changed. And just like in front of Dollar General, you have a sidewalk to nowhere because the codes changed. And so the bathrooms got locked up in all this craziness at the county.
And so the only thing you're asking from the board is for us to approve the easement that we've already agreed to, right?
Right. We have to get those documents from the county, that this is the, providing them with an easement. So it comes here, if hypothetically we don't have to make any revisions, it's placed on the agenda and the board is good with it, then you give your approval, have the chairman sign it, and I get it shipped back over to the county.
And the second question is, I've been asked a couple of people in the 19th hole when they're going to get their new chairs there. Kathy?
She said we're getting samples this month.
Oh, okay, thank you. That's all.
So we're also to be, in the budget, the board approved for our lounge to replace the chairs, tables, and stools in there too. And then the chairs for the golden chairs will be replaced in the building A.
Thank you, Ann.
I can ask Matt later, but I was curious about the roof at the 19th hole. I keep seeing and hearing things that it's leaking and that it's got stained tiles and...
Yeah, it's extremely bad in there. And what it is, it's not the roof leaking, it's condensation that's occurring. Staff has looked at it quite a bit. In the budget, we have funds to replace the ground unit outside, to replace an old unit, so that should definitely help getting more, cool air, cold air into the 19th hole. There are also, the plan is to get a unit, I don't know if it's a wall unit, I don't know if Matt is here, back into the kitchen area, so not only for the staff, but also that would help out with that heat that's been coming out that way also. We're going to have the staff, go through this process, see what they might be able to do to change the circulation in there, so that we, hopefully eliminate or reduce the condensation. If necessary, we can do is go out to a outside firm, to come in and I guess do any hopefully final end pieces, for our staff if necessary. I've also Matt and I have also had discussions along with Kathy about rather than using the same type of tile like this, where if we were to put replace all those, that it would just be throwing money down the drain because it just get stained almost immediately. So our plan is to replace them with plastic material, so that again they just won't get stained. And then right now we're hoping that we can do that within a couple of days, but we'd be needing to close down the 19th hole so that staff can just get in there, take care of it, and it's been identified it'll probably get really messy. So instead of trying to do it, one day, clean up everything, come back another day, it'd be best just get it done.
Along those same lines, I had a resident ask me about the stains in D&E, and I said, well, I never looked up. So now I looked up today, and sure enough, we got some stains. Is that the same issue?
Yeah, as you can see, there's some that's away, but there's primarily, I've been looking at this since I've been here, and seeing that happen. I think you've been at some of these meetings where it's really warm in here, so we are, got the AC really, cranked up to keep that from happening as best as we can. So, but yeah, as we've talked about throughout the budget process, the bay has aged, sometimes not as gracefully as we would hope it to do. So we've got a lot of repairs and
None of us have.
So we definitely are in an era in Barefoot Bay of needing to do a lot of repair and maintenance work, and so hopefully we'll have some changes here in our organization that will allow me to be freed up to do use a lot of my time now for doing work instead of other non-work. And so that Matt and I are planning to meet tomorrow and kind of lay out a game plan. As I mentioned to him, we had a good team that we put together a few months ago where it was relayed to me that it was really tough to get various vendors, contractors to give bids here in Barefoot Bay. And so I was able to, again, partner with Matt and able to get, number of bids in there so we can get, good choices, lower the costs, down by getting multiple bids in here. So my time's been consumed for a while now, so hopefully I'll be able to get back into that mode and be able to get out there and beat the bushes, get a hold of the contractors, owners, and get some bids in, get them to come out. And we kind of jumped in there with one of our staff this week, and that staff member came through just like I knew they would, and it was able to make the contact that's been difficult to do the come in, give us bids, do tours so that we can get the bids for the new smoking area, for the reconstruction of the ramp to make it ADA compliant, and then also create that slope into the shower out there. So that's, again, we've been wanting to get that done, but it's getting those vendors in there. So
You might also check with Dan, your agent, because Brown & Brown has a lot of contacts with regards to construction, and they might have people in this area, because Dan's located in Vero, so he's definitely in this area and might be able to give you the name of some other contractors. If you have specific concrete framing, whatever it is, he might be able to help you with that.
okay, thank you. So one of our that appreciate that for another source. What we did for the last couple of projects or so, the county has the list of all the licensed contractors in Brevard County by each specialty. And so part of that process was, Matt went through them to pick out, ones that he believed would be, be good to solicit, bids from. And then, again, it's sending the emails, getting online, sending them through their emails, phone call after phone call, and not, until you hear not interested, just keep going. So.
Okay, I got a couple. First one relates to a resident discussion at our CVO meet and greet last week, and you also read the same issue from Ms. Moylan. I know we had a very severe golf cart accident with the courtesy cart back at the end of March. I know from going over to the FASD conference that they were not happy about that, and they dropped this. That's why we have a new insurance company. What's the thoughts, or what's the prognosis on the courtesy cart?
Well, as far as actually continuing that service, that would be up to the board because of the nature of the liability. You would hope that you would be able to have somebody driving the vehicle in a safe manner, that the residents are able to board and is it deboard? No, it's not the right word. What's the right word for getting off the cart?
Disembark.
Disembark. Thank you. That was it. I was thinking of airplanes. I was trying to think of that. They would also be safe. Really, any activity, there's always a risk, even as small as it is. And I think it's going to be a matter of the board making that decision, because that's at this point, I'm as far as the community manager, this is an item I need to bring to the board for them to make a decision and weigh the service, the benefit. Again, it definitely provides benefit to our residents, and then weighing it against the the liability of providing that service.
Would you check with the insurance agent and get their recommendation? I think
Yes.
you're going to find that having a volunteer drive a cart that we own, they're not going to want you to do.
No, I think that's a bad idea.
Going back on this issue, I was there the night that lady had the accident. She was driving with her left foot. She bent over to pick up something, and the golf cart went off. So, that's what happened, because I was there.
I believe right after that accident, it was brought to the board, and at that time, the board was asked if they were going to purchase another cart or not, and the board voted not to continue that service. I believe that was back in, when that happened, March?
Makes
So it would have been the meeting the end of March or 1st of April, that the board voted not to continue service because of the expense of the cart, et cetera.
Yeah, so, and so, and just clarification, up until the point where the service stopped, the drivers were staff. They were on the payroll. There, yeah.
Is that it, Jeff? You got another one?
Another one. Just to
Okay.
remind everybody, we have a town hall coming up on Tuesday night at 6 o'clock. That's where the budget kickoff comes. There was a lot of unhappiness about the budget, so this is where you get to come out and give us some feedback. And I want to thank the CVO for a great meet and greet. I had a full 2 hours of conversations with many of the residents. Again, one of them asked me about the courtesy cart. And I would just say that there's probably a couple more meet and greets left out there before election. Take advantage of them. That's where you can get the one-on-one. Thanks.
Thank you, Jeff. Mr. Brinker? I have nothing. Okay. Moving on to me. I would ask staff to get somebody to work on these microphones and make sure that both buildings, D and E, can hear. And I'd like to thank everyone who came out to tell the board your thoughts. Bless you. And many of you stayed to the end. All of those get an extra thank you. So have a good night, and we're adjourned.